Let's bring in retired U.S. Army Colonel and Global Guardian CEO Dale Buckner for more on this. Colonel Buckner, thank you for coming on. Ukraine and Western countries are now bracing for this potential retaliation from Russia, whatever that looks like. So could Ukraine's use of these long-range missiles change the trajectory of this war? What are the pros and cons to weigh here?
Yep. So the utilization and entry of ATACMS being approved from a tactical level is not going to change the face of the war moving forward. It's about a 200-mile range. The Russians are well outside of that range with their aircraft and some of their strategic assets. This is really part of the escalation I believe we're all going to witness as we're 7 weeks away from the Trump administration coming in. Both sides are now going to escalate. I believe that we're in one of the most dangerous periods of the 2.5+ year war that's happened here. And that as you think about this, there's a political calculation, there's a strategic calculation, and a tactical calculation. That being said, the introduction of ATACMS tactically is not going to move the needle on the war, but it's going to have a material effect strategically in what the messaging is going to be around as we enter a new phase, and hopefully next year we're moving towards a diplomatic solution.
Colonel, rumors are circulating in Ukraine that Russia may test experimental intercontinental ballistic missiles or even launch them into Ukraine. How big of a deal would that be if it is true and it does happen? And how would Ukraine or even the U.S. respond?
Yeah. So number one, when I looked at the last reports about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, this was relatively stable. When I came in this morning and briefed with the intelligence team, the discussion of the introduction of an RS-26, which is an intercontinental ballistic missile capable nuclear warhead, is now being circulated. Now, the utilization of an RS-26 without a nuclear warhead is sending the message, and Russia gets a vote here. They believe the U.S., the West, Ukraine has escalated. Now we're going to respond. If they were to utilize that kind of intercontinental ballistic system, they are clearly sending a message that we are capable, we are ready, and we are prepared to fire off this kind of weapon system. The assumption at this point is it would not be a nuclear warhead, but they would clearly be sending the message as part of this escalation.
Now, at this point in the conflict, Russia has done almost everything it can militarily to attack Ukraine. And you say authorizing these long-range missiles that Ukraine's now firing into Russia doesn't make much of a strategic difference. So why make that change now? And what do you think would need to happen for Ukraine to be able to make significant gains on the front lines?
So tactically, if you look at the positioning, as we're thinking about moving towards what we assume next year will be a diplomatic discussion. Right now, Ukraine is going to do everything it can to hold on to the Kursk region. And right now, those ATACMS could certainly assist in that venture, if you will, of trying to keep that as a bargaining chip. So that is the primary tactical application of bringing in the ATACMS. Now, again, strategically and politically, this is now going to escalate on both sides. So to your earlier report in Ukraine discussing how all the embassies are shutting down, embassies don't close unless there's some valid intelligence that's indicating something is coming. So again, I think there's a limited tactical application. It's primarily focused on holding Kursk. Outside of that, though, we're now going into this phase of escalation, and you can anticipate as we're moving with 7 weeks prior to the change in administration, we should all be anticipating escalation on both sides.
All right, retired U.S. Army Colonel, Global Guardian CEO Dale Buckner. We appreciate it. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.